Very happy to be joined by Sam Regan, who's a worker organizer at the Alphabet Workers Union-CWA. Sam, thanks so much for being with us.
Yeah, my pleasure. Hi.
You know, it's our pleasure to have you here. And I mean, tell us a little bit about what happened in Austin. I mean, I know there was a lot of people probably saw the video of, folks from the Alphabet Workers Union getting fired while trying to actually, argue for their rights in front of the Austin City Council. Sort of an amazing situation. And I mean, amazing in the worst possible way. Explain a little bit what took place.
Yeah, so we're about 2 years into our union campaign and nearly a year after unanimously winning our union election. Part of what's unique about our campaign is that we've been making the legal case that Google is in fact our employer. Google, along with the other major tech companies, employ a two-tiered system where they have very well compensated, taking care of direct employees, but often, in the case of Google, more than half of their workforce are temporary workers, vendors, or contractors. They're called TBCs at Google. So Google has a really strong legal and business incentive to deny that we're even employed by them. They'll say, we're jointly employed by them and Cognizant, and they'll say, these are Cognizant employees. From a labor perspective, it's especially important because we needed to be in the negotiating room with Google in order to have the sort of leverage or representation that we're entitled to. So we were in front of City Council speaking in support of a resolution we wanted passed calling for Google to join us at the bargaining table, to continue or to quit refusing to bargain with us, recognize that we're their employers, and going through City Council, engaging in the political arena was one among many strategies to pressure them to the bargaining table outside of the legal process, which can take quite a while.
So
yeah,
sorry. No. Finish what you were saying first, please.
Yeah, absolutely. So midway through our workers talking on behalf of this resolution, they got the news that our entire team had been laid off. I was in the office when it happened. We messaged them, and Katie Marshner, one of our organizers, interrupted our friend Jack to say that we had all been laid off. And I guess that was quickly screen recorded and posted, and it's all over the internet now, I guess.
So what has the workers' response been, the laid off workers' response been, and then what has YouTube been going around and saying to the media? Because I've seen this talking point of like, this was just a routine contract termination. I don't know why they're fussing so much.
Yeah, so now, as with the rest of the campaign, our main priority is to be there for each other, support each other, try to create a voice for the people at the job. So our immediate response has been to come to each other's aid, process what happened, figure out next steps for the union fight. So we're exploring all legal options. We believe that this was wrongful retaliation against our organizing. We disagree strongly with the manner in which it was conducted. So right now we're regrouping, talking to the press a lot. For better or worse, virality has a really short shelf life, so we're trying to capitalize on that. We're talking to city councilors who just very publicly threw support behind us to find other political pressure points, other figures in state and local politics who can maybe support our voices. And just kind of taking it a day at a time, prioritizing, taking care of our people, and seeing how we can capitalize on this, seeing how we could punish Google and Cognizant for conducting themselves in this way. Some of the more long-term remedies we might have to wait for because the National Labor Relations Board is a very slow-moving organization. It's been systematically defunded. It's understaffed. Good people there, I think, with mostly good intentions. But in this case, and with all cases, organizers more and more now are learning that we can't simply rely on unfair labor practices or rulings from the board because if you find $1 trillion company $5,000, or if it takes 3 years to reinstate someone's job, that's not really an acceptable timeline for precarious, underpaid workers like us. So we're just kind of trying to strategically identify the things that need to happen on the scale of days and weeks, and identifying allies and getting support for the fight that will continue for years. And our people are really philosophically, spiritually, emotionally bought into this campaign. So even if we no longer have a bargaining unit, even if we're no longer organizing daily at the job. We still want to be involved and continue contributing what we can to the labor movement, especially within tech.
Mm-hmm. And you mentioned this a couple times in a general sense, but I want to dig into it a little bit more. I mean, what are the working conditions like? What's the situation like? Because I feel Google and all these tech companies have done such a good job of creating this space that everyone assumes, oh, you work there, you must be a millionaire. That kind of mentality I think is still so rife, I think, in just the general population.
Yeah, like I said, okay, everyone needs a union. Everyone needs support on the job. You could be really well compensated and still have discrimination, still be wrongfully terminated. So I want to say that even the full-time employees that are well compensated are still allies in this fight, where it's one big union. But you're right, there is a misconception that everyone who works in tech is making six figures, has generous benefits, the massages and the free food at Google campuses that you hear about. But we all make about $19 an hour. We live in Austin, which has incredibly high cost of living. So we're all living paycheck to paycheck. We were remote initially, and they forced us to return to the office after we filed for a union election. We went on strike over that in February. So that's compounded expenses. A lot of us were putting gas money on our credit cards and going into debt. Almost all of us work a second or third job. I worked at YouTube Music, but I also was doing audio engineering. And actually, on the positive side of things, that's part of what was special about this job is we, at YouTube Music, they hired musicians and music industry workers just so we had background knowledge and expertise to do music data analysis. So this job to most of us was a way to supplement and support ourselves while we played in bands or tour managed or stuff like that. So yeah, it's extra egregious that this company would exploit a group of really creative, talented people who just need to work within the system to support themselves. But yeah, it's important for us to reframe the narrative, because it's in the public arena, in the court of public opinion, people, at least in the comment sections of social media platforms, aren't as sympathetic to us, even though we're very much working class and very precarious. And yeah.
Yeah, I mean, these tech companies, I'm curious what happens next moving forward.
Sure. So we're the third bargaining unit at Alphabet that has been terminated after winning a union election. So the first group of workers, it was 11 people. They worked at a Google Fiber store in retail. And pretty soon afterwards, Google shut down every Google Fiber store in the country. The second group is Accenture. They work for Google. Accenture is the contracting company. They're Google help workers, so they're technical writers and graphic designers. 2 days before their union election hearing with the NLRB, they announced a layoff of, I think, 80 or 90% of their workforce. And now we've experienced the same thing as we're building up an escalation plan as we made a big move in front of City Council. So on the one hand, it's intimidating to think if we keep poking the bear, if we keep organizing at Alphabet, is this just going to keep happening over and over again? And that's as much a strategic question as anything. But we have really smart leadership. We have pretty high density in a lot of different product areas. They can't lay off all of us. And it's going to take some really smart organizing to get people contracts now to both long-term assess how we can build up to a majority representation at our company with the sort of power that UAW experiences right now, while still offering support and tangibly benefiting the lives of people this early on that are getting involved in the movement. So we've got to be smart. We certainly have to be smarter to these employers. The employers are motivated by greed and quarterly goals. We are motivated by long-term impact and integrity and support and love. So ultimately, if we stay locked in, if we don't isolate ourselves, I think we can triumph. Those are the next steps in the abstract sense. For our unit, the next steps are really leaning on our political allies, leaning on the press, and just trying to be there for each other during this pretty scary period as we just figure out what the next job will be in the short term.
Mm-hmm. Well, Sam, before we let you go, if there are maybe Alphabet workers here watching, or those just in the community who want to, be informed, they can offer support when necessary. Is there a place people can go to learn more, or perhaps get organized themselves?
Yeah, so you can keep up to date at Alphabet Workers on Instagram and Twitter. If you just Google Alphabet Workers Union, it'll take you to their website and you can learn more and sign up. If you work at Alphabet and you're interested in starting a campaign, which now might not be the most attractive time to do so, but still important nonetheless, and this result is not by any means inevitable, then reach out to the union and you can get connected with the staff organizer. You can assess your bargaining unit, see what turf you lay in, connect you with other people. So that's for people working at Alphabet, but anyone, anywhere, either join a union, text someone who is a union member, support, figure out ways that you can, in the short term and the long term, improve your workplace. Remember that you have rights. Remember that you and your coworkers are more powerful than your boss, even if it doesn't seem like it. And just lock in, because things in this country continue to get worse and worse. And outside of voting, which, as we know, is not very dependable, I don't see any impediment to things continuing to get worse, for power to continue to become more concentrated without the power of the labor movement. So get involved any way you can, educate yourself any way you can, leverage your work, leverage your power, and hang in there.
Mm-hmm. Well, Sam, really appreciate you joining us here. Really appreciate you illuminating the story and all the organizing you and your coworkers have been doing. Sam Regan, a worker organizer with Alphabet Workers United, Communication Workers of America. Thank you so much for giving us some of your time here on the Freedom Side.
Yeah. Thanks. Take care, guys.
Mm-hmm.